It's not going to work. You can't be serious.
Oh, I'm serious. Focus.
Oh, welcome everybody. This is Alexandria RPG. Well, I'm the chief librarian for Alexandria RPG. Not a real ad. Ben Thompson. You may recognize his name from lots of different things, but
Star Wars.
Star Wars stuff, yeah. Did a lot of Star Wars comics and role-playing game stuff.
nice. Means I got to start digging through and
I've run Badass of the Week for, it'll be 19 years now.
tell it to record as well. Issues here. The weather has gone bonkers.
Yeah, the weather here.
You see in the link down, the doobly-doo or whatever you want to call it down below, a link to an awesome set of dice, and it helps to support the library. And why are we talking to you two today? Joy coming over. I do.
A couple months ago, I think, kind of talking about a bunch of history books and a bunch of web content stuff.
And we're both
5 or 6 years now. We've been like a little bit before item, and it'll just kind of be like
we were both kind of
worked really well. Some stuff we really liked, some cool new ideas. Last time about wanting to do it as a Kickstarter, and what ended up happening was like we were all at Emerald City Comic Con. I think the first weekend of a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was like right before Emerald City Comic.
go live on
I came over. I had to ask you in person.
tomorrow.
I didn't have the courage to do the show from this year, right? Like I don't have any new books coming out, and pitch it to everybody that will listen to us, and yeah, that's worked out pretty well. So we've
Worked out really great.
and so we were only looking for well, you should do the pitch because you were
Sent directly to your computer, Pete. Old school stuff. And my artwork is an old school crunchy D&D black and white line art and
adventures. You can play them sequentially as a campaign or 3.5. It depends on what the feedback is on the
The original Pathfinder was jokingly called
3.75.
3.75.
yeah, I know.
And then I thought it was funny that later on people that worked at Paizo got mad when you called it that. I'm like, you guys even called it that.
Yeah.
And so, the idea, you can play them individually, you can play them as a group together, and it's a lower magic setting,
Some of the newest stuff.
There's an appeal to like,
Off. Because, I mean, most of the original stuff was you kept going back to the same city. You had a base of operations, and you were either in a city going down to the dungeons underneath, or you were in a city or in a town going out to the caves that led to
Chaos,
dungeons and stuff. Exactly.
How good it really was.
Oh, there was a master. Is the original AD&D Dungeon Master guide.
Oh yeah.
Gary Gygax wrote in the most obscure ways, but there's so much Dungeon Crawl Classics, which they said, hey, we designed our game based upon that appendix. I love all of their art is hand drawn. They
nice.
refuse to use.
Yeah.
And and maybe for a cyberpunk thing, but still, I mean, you go in.
It worked.
One of the most iconic cyberpunk, and that was hand done.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something more special about the hand done art.
I agree, and Ben and I.
It is just like you do.
Yeah.
It's either pen and paper, gouache, paint.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, things I love about them is their core rulebook. You get the floppy cover one. It's like this thick. It's everything in there. It's the player's handbook, Monster Man. Because there's a couple companies out there, Goodman Games and Palladium. Both of them, Kevin Symbieta and Palladium. They both, we want to get our game in your hands. If I can put a game in, I remember talking to Kevin, then making a couple more dollars for you may never play another role-playing game. He goes, you spend 20 or 30, and he goes, that's far more important. He goes,
what we're going for here too, right? I mean, our modules are 99 cents, so it's like, if you like these, you'll like them, and that's great, right? But sometimes you can get some PDF with whatever 15 to 20 pieces of art in them, and it's 99 cents, which is a good deal. And in there, it gives you a good idea for something to put into your own module. Like that's worth 99 cents, but it's not.
I mean, you're getting a world-class artist, and
Thank you.
Since what is it? Friend you on Facebook. Just it's funny because
Back in the 90s, studying.
progressed and become better.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to, or you die. I mean,
Run into artists that get it. They're I'm making money off this, and then they get into this major rut because they're making money. It's what you do today is so much better than the things I fell in love with, the original Magic.
a new version of the card. Just recently, yeah.
The please.
Yeah.
And I know that's on the. I remember talking to her about a new piece.
Funny is that I think it was every Wednesday or Tuesday. Can't remember. For like a year.
Magic artists are all still in this
Yeah,
area.
yeah, because Heather and Daniel just live down the road. They live on 50th Street or something like that.
Yeah, and but I mean, it's because Wizard.
Correct. Right? You nailed it, Dave.
Well, I had a discussion with Larry Elmore. It's like, everybody I was asking was like offered him like, what I charge per piece.
Yeah.
And, I was standing there when somebody's, he goes, I had my chance. He goes, brought him a swamp to sign because a friend of mine is a huge, gave it to my friend at the end of the show.
He's a really cool guy.
Super nice guy.
I ate lunch with Larry Elmore like 25 years ago at a local science fiction convention. And it was me and my girlfriend at the time.
And we'll be at NorwestCon in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
And SakuraCon the same weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
Library is going to be at 2 places the same weekend.
You're a better person
luck,
than I am. Yeah, good luck to you.
Have some amazing.
Approachable guy. He's really funny too. And he's a big motorcycle dude, and
I can see him as a motorcycle. Yeah, it's awesome little with people that. Yes, exactly. There's amazing stories about people like share.
on my payroll. Do not say the bad.
No, I have never heard bad stories about either you.
Guy,
Yeah, but super nice.
He's really nice.
Yeah, so like every event he's been to, he's just like there smiling, signing away.
Yeah.
And he's like, and people, I guess he's one of those people art wise that they know he's something. He's really nice dude.
Yeah, Larry's pretty cool too.
Yeah, he definitely does have a very unique. Yeah, you can see it. You're like, oh, yep.
Love it.
All the females have like a very distinct face.
Yes.
And going back to Kevin's
With Gen Con, and so I bought one of the Palladium books.
I love that he.
I got to talk to Kevin. I was so happy. I
really thought you were going somewhere with
that. No,
art for Judges
Yeah,
Guild to basically pay for his habit of role play.
I didn't.
Charges so little for his books now. And it's funny because you look at his earliest pieces, they're not good or are just like lie or capability.
Went to hell.
God, everybody was dumping everybody. Then within like we're gone. They're like, oh, wait, the number one went bankrupt and got bought out. Then the second one, number two is just bankrupt and gone. And Artel Saurian, Chaosium, and
Hell, I know
like,
because
so
they owed me money
so
for
I said
years.
kind of survived. Like they kept trying to, and just everything got and they got for every one of their games.
Cool.
And there's not too many companies that survive.
Well, there's a bunch of crap out there.
So you have 5.99 games now.
Yeah, 5 little adventures. They are somewhere in the 40 to 60 page range. So we were just, it would be kind of do things in a different way, try to do some stuff that hasn't been done before, because that's kind of the pitfall you fall into with the like, I want to do it old school style, and it's like, all right, well, now that's been done for the last 40 years. Like, what can you bring to the table that we haven't already seen, right?
Yeah.
Cliche.
New. It's first ed I can't remember it all of a sudden, but second ed it was the box set Night of the Comet.
That was in 79 or 78.
Yeah, and both of them I love because you're adventuring through. I was like a very funny shaped wand. It fires magic missiles. It's like, oh, it's a ray gun.
Yeah.
It's like
Current D&D is going with this, right? Because you're doing a lot of very confusing when you read it in first edition, but I think the Avengers is kind of like the good example for how to do that right now. Writing it, and there's a style of adventures, and that your character sheet's this long, and nobody understands what they're got.
Calm down.
I do like to pick on 5e just because it's the.
We want to offer an alternative to that. If you can play for the Dungeons and Dragons and have it play like a Conan the Barbarian character, no armor, weapons, equipment, or money. You're in the back of
clothes.
Or clothes. Yeah, you're in the back of a gnoll cart. You've been captured by gnolls. They're dragging you in an D setting, but you're going through the exploding, and everybody falling out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. Adventure, especially a 5th edition town. Okay, there's a little town.
To clothe yourself before you go wandering.
Well, you're in rags. So you show up and you're in rags, but you look like you've been running through the forest, like fighting wolves with a stick, right?
Yeah.
Like you're making
5e typically is. And a lot of people that love 5e love it because it is a very heroic system. People that hadn't played in years, they get back into it and they're like, this isn't the D&D for me, because it's 5e is definitely not one's your first level character. So you're starting kind of in that halfway between the you know nothing.
Right, I started in 2nd edition, and Brian started in first.
yeah.
And we wanted
I
to
started in
capture,
first.
we wanted to capture that feel of like that old school stuff, and we also want to do it for OSR as well as 5e. Which one of the ways we tried to do that was, the rest mechanic in. Back at 50% health and stuff, and in the old days, the dungeon's designed. You don't have 8 hours to take a long rest to get all your hit points back, because if you go to rest,
To have your bushcraft skills and all this kind of stuff, or you're going to be a little
yeah, and in Module 2, it's not a big deal, right? It's point your guys have figured out.
Really? You didn't want to do that one?
You figured it out. Like, you guys have got it under control. It's fine. You've proven that you can do it.
A less heroic evolution.
Once you get into the bears and goblins and other stuff,
While
you're sleeping, those bugbears are going to sneak up on you. We have to try to make the dungeons a little grindier than you usually see in a 5th edition kit. That long rest, you're going to have to go back to town and get it and come back later. And
Their Scooby-Doo you got to figure out why it's haunted, and then all the hauntings and everything are based off of your base operations.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
I like
So
that.
you're based in a castle, so it's like, okay, I made it yourself. But a negative thing will happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Grumpy,
you can't
right?
get rid of that.
in the adventure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then they released an expansion.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
the
it's
style.
really cool.
First
Oh,
was
yeah.
like in some of the early planning sessions talked about like, hey,
Yeah.
the OSR version of our book and the 5e version of our book are going to be pretty significantly different.
Cluttered.
You can't
Cluttered mess.
Yeah, you can't just restat it, because the game it's a different game, and
Yes.
the
If
story's
you're
the same. The little text boxes that and actually in the 5th too is like, it's a thing you don't see that often in 5th these days, but like some of the random encounters are things.
Crazy things at people that they shouldn't fight, to see who understands what they shouldn't fight.
Because everyone knows when you have a D&D party, only half the people are going to show up.
Wizard doesn't cast fireball; they just keep one in a chill touch.
Yeah,
It's
I
like, do the other thing.
Sit down.
Yeah.
At a moment's notice.
Yes.
Yeah, that was some playtesting stuff, and there was some, especially at the beginning, where you're like,
I better tap the brakes a little
yeah,
bit.
I think I'm gonna reduce this guy's attack bonus by 3 and have his hit points, because otherwise, I think all these guys
Started.
on turn and
Took you an hour and a half.
How do we fix this? Oh, the animator had a heart attack and died.
like, the gnolls come and they're shooting arrows at you and stuff, and like. One thing that we're trying to do with the modules too is, don't see that often in these kinds of things. So with that, at the very beginning of the gnoll one, the gnolls come out and they're shooting arrows at you while you're running away. They're throwing javelins, and if you get a natural 20, like take a couple hit points off one of the guys. But like the purpose of this is not to kill your party.
Yeah, it's a good DM trick. You get them all excited and stuff, and they're
Rolling dice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big proponent of GM screens because we're all telling a story. My dice don't matter, but as players, your dice do.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Because just because I'm
Yeah.
having a hot streak on dice shouldn't ruin everybody else's game.
I love it. You open the door. Nothing happens. A lot. I haven't been scared in a while. Like, you gave me a thing that I've incorporated into these books where it's just like you'll point at somebody at the table and be like, okay, Ben, roll a d6. Tell me what you get. Is that bad?
Luck rolls.
Yes.
Like, hey, can you give me a luck check?
Start talking, right? They're talking. They're right.
Like, what order are you guys in again?
But you have to.
Player pickup game of D6
God.
Star Wars. These two people knew each other. These two people, it's late. You guys can jump in. Almost what it was. Oh, it's hilarious because I thought I'd busted my tail. I got everybody's doing some planning. And young lady all the way at the vinegar chips, and I forgot to bring back some Utz for the wife on that trip because I ate them all that night. Just deliberately more. Everyone's like on her. What is your idea? And it was great of the game.
And
that's a great way to do it.
One of the players, he came back. He goes. The game was fun. He goes, but I communicate and play a game.
Corral a bunch of people because like, all right, well, I'm
The bigger games. The most bonkers size game was a Star Wars D6 Star Wars game, late '90s. Started out GMs and 64 players.
Madonna.
We actually had to adapt live action rules. Like, okay, this is what's happened so far. Here's what's going on. And
job.
Yes, to supply your chips for you.
that was 70 people. And they didn't charge us anything for the rooms. And one of our GMs asked why. They go, "Oh no, we make way more money off us." We'd come in on that Saturday. We'd play people that pitch in and order pizza for the group. Yeah.
D20 pizza.
Any polyhedral pizzas? That'd be awesome. You just get a little thing. Just one.
You want a D6?
We wanted to open a place called Pie Man's House of Circular Foods. And there you had to buy
On campus, like, this is the greatest place ever. Everyone else like, I haven't figured out how to order yet. Here's coming to this place. I still don't know what I'm going to order. Can I get a number pie?
Was that 3.18 or something like that? I can't.
No, it's a round building in which this place.
There was a place in Oklahoma City called My Pie, and the door. And he would always say, "You know what this means? We don't care, Dad. We don't explain what it means."
Oh, but there's an R in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's an R.
Oh, we're having too much fun.
So far, yes.
Okay, great.
Don't push your luck.
You're the best. You're the best too. We've been going so hard last
Yeah.
week. Hey, can we do that some other?
That was a big problem for
that
us,
was
man.
crazy.
That was a big problem for us because
Yeah.
we were like pretty far along on the planning on this. Like
Yeah.
we had already had our. It was like, look, all right, this is settled. We can do it. And it's like, man, we put all these hours into this.
And I got to click.
Yeah, it was that place was utter confusion during that time frame, and it was funny because a gaming license, some crazy ideas, and thankfully a lot of people go, nope. Like that's not going to happen. There was some push on some stuff like, hey, we need a individual license on your edition. Pathfinder's released under the issue with that. But if you're going to have an open gaming license,
As a rules lawyer, so
I wrote the copyright page for the first module like last week, and it took me all week to write 2 pages worth of stuff because you have to include that. And like, right, like, you know, none of the character background. So we wanted to put pre-generated characters in because we think it gets you into the action quicker to just pass out character sheets and start playing. But we had to create custom backgrounds for all those people. Okay, that's fine. It's the open gaming license. But our stuff, like our custom, don't want to release that.
Exactly, and a lot of people don't understand that. And it was funny because and the other thing people don't realize, describe the
It is. Yes.
I pitched the idea. I told some people over at WotC, I was like, you know, we're tired of this. This is what, you know, I have people that
See, here's the thing. So that makes no sense to me that they don't
didn't live through, including Gary Gygax. Yeah. She sued that man at every chance she got.
I know. If you look at that, what was that? They made a documentary on that.
Yes, I can't remember the name of it. It was never well run at any point in its life.
Just run out of somebody's house. Yeah.
They were that's what she was good at, and she righted the company at that point, and then get her, and then she didn't understand how to run the business. She was the numbers person, and you know,
and they forgot about the creativity and stuff, and which is how it started to begin with.
Exactly. In time, get a business person to do the business things for you.
It's the 5e to the open gaming license.
Do you need one?
I would love one. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
I'm getting it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and it's a lot, but of like, and honestly, like the best advice I got on how to, for people who want to self-publish D&D content, the best advice I got was to like come out and since the OGL had changed, and just looked at how they did it, you know, because
but they haven't released it to like Creative Commons or anything like that. So the
Didn't
OGL,
they release the Creative Commons?
No, the SRD they did.
Oh,
the OGL Wizards still leave it as is, and they're going to
understand it either. Can't use the word dungeon master.
There's
Umber Hulks, which is a weird one. Which is a weird,
Hulk,
weird pick. Yeah.
Dark brown.
Yes.
I guess they got around. I guess they got away with like
around them. And, and that's the rules.
I got a degree.
Let's start a fight.
I passed the bar.
Like that have been sitting at tables arguing over rules and figuring out. Oh yeah, and like there were a lot of people. Well, it's worse than you think, but it's not like
pause. I was out of the country anyway. We weren't working on the thing. I was like,
Ben was in Brazil.
Brazil was happening.
Texting.
I'm gonna say,
what time is it over there? It makes a difference.
4 hours
to the world. Tapping it in.
It is, and it was like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
He's like, this year, but they got me by a year.
There's one thing you can.
It was on your radar list.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing crazy on my radar list within the industry. I mean, the only thing that's really kind of thrown me through a loop since that has been all the and Wizards has already talked about developing AID
More art than I am. I'm like, damn it. My wife was in the style of Ben Thompson from Badass, and it was just, this is good, dude.
I'm not the biggest fan of AI.
It was E.E. Namasa?
No, I'm exaggerating.
Okay.
I'm hyperbolizing for emphasis.
Because I know who that guy was.
I know. I picked one that I've written about him. Masa, who was a pretty.
It's a very niche knowledge topic.
Yes.
Sadly, because it is a very, like, once you get into it, you're like, whoa, it's a fascinating. It's
awesome, right?
Samurai
Surrounded
armor.
by suits of samurai armor right now.
Yeah.
And not like replicas, like real stuff.
It's very funny because I would be really delicate. I'm like, oh no, sorry, I bumped it against a thing. And he's like, 3 years old. He's like, you can shoot it with a gun. You can shoot it with a
sword from like 1500. Yeah, but it's like you're the only other person I know that would be able to do that on a.
But we can't show it on TV.
Knives, bad steel, and that's because they dealt with very bad iron made with Japanese iron. You're like, oh. You guys are using some of the worst material to be just stamped out in a Japanese.
What's happening here? Because the Chinese don't like the Japanese that much.
Oh, I know.
And some Koreans were in there too going, you know what?
I grew up and Japanese friends, and the Korean kids and the Chinese kids staring at him like, yeah. He's like, in Korea, what is about 15 years ago, Samsung Korea stopped buying Samsung stuff. I was going to buy a new
like PlayStation. They're like,
I'm just going to stop talking right now.
Yeah, if you don't understand what we're talking about, should probably do a little more
Ancient times.
Going to Mongolia, it was hilarious getting there and just like seeing how much, because they were never part of the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union goes, or they were the best of satellites, I guess.
Yeah.
Chinggis beer, Chinggis vodka, love them. And I, having been in a room with somebody that throat sings,
and they have
if you've not seen them, The Who.
they're good.
I've heard Brian talk about it.
Yeah.
I've never listened to it.
They play.
I'll be totally honest that like it sounds weird when you talk about it. I've heard Snoddy talking about it.
To like what is it? Finnish folk metal. Where they sing with a deep throaty voice, and they'll have a dude playing a violin down at his waist, and just heavy guitars and everything, and just like, oh, this is awesome. And you've got medieval metal that comes out of Germany. The genre for everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
And
like
then
pirates.
in Japan they
I've seen them live, and they're just.
I have not seen them live, but I've seen many videos.
The year we started the library, he took his own life. His wife is Japanese, and his daughters, of course, are half Japanese. And giant fan of the Japanese culture. He went over there via bicycle.
I don't ride bikes anymore. I'm not Mormon. I'm married to
the bike. He's like, no. He's like, I'll do anything else, but he goes, I spent 2 years riding a bike in Tokyo. I don't ever want to ride a bike again. But yeah, their show, there were dancing peanuts, onesies and stuff, and I was like, why is this so entertaining?
What is happening?
It was the most fat.
By the way, we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
One of the Lich King D&D modules available now on Kickstarter for your own little one-off about it, and Brian will draw it.
Brian will not draw it.
I'll draw it. I'll draw it. Wait,
AI draw. Can you?
So, you guys are on Kickstarter right now.
So it's,
and I know I've had a good luck just searching 99
adventures. There's a QR code on this picture. I don't know if it's easy to
get down after the show.
That's probably a much more effective way of doing it.
It's much more gooder, yes.
Than waving the thing in
gooder.
front.
I like that.
Already. We're promising delivery on all of them by this time next year, by April.
So you're going to put them out one at a time?
A third of the interior art for all of them is done. So we're in good shape.
Yeah. The first one, module 1 is done and ready to go out. We want to have it kind of done. I think we probably, but we want to get it all play tested, right? Send it off to. We've got a couple different groups of people who are going to play test it. I'd like to send it to you if that's all right. An idea for that. We want it to be final by July 1, but we need half done with the writing already. So we're very far along on it. So. We had been talking before we started recording about offering print versions. If you want to promise any of that with the Kickstarter, and if you 99 cents, you want to buy the print version, it's whatever they charge you for it. and that would be a good way to do it. And yeah, so but we didn't.
With this one, you've gone over what you requested, which is always, awesome. And, I've seen people like.
I think we should ask for 5, and I was like,
And
that was Ben's idea.
Yeah.
And not mine.
But
and,
I mean, there's still.
And he was right.
There's none of this art, and
You 5 modules and in a less than heroic way, you're sorely lacking DM. Even just watch so
What's
much.
for the Dungeon Master?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, for 50 years, and everybody's like, oh, we need to figure out how to.
Agree with you 100%.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, no, hang on, we're playing with just these 4 books. Sorry, like you guys
Figure out, hey, everyone's supposed to have a good time.
Yeah, I always like to talk to people about I'm not the GM for you, and that goes for everybody because I'm not the GM for every player. GMs, you've got to find the right group.
up is like D&D is something that came up a lot when we were talking.
A lot.
And it's like, and you play it like I've been doing this since the mid '90s. And oh shoot, and that's okay as long as you guys are having fun. Who cares?
Yeah, I had changed a rule. Wait, that's not how. I'm really confused the first time I asked them.
I think that's like a good entry point for a DM. It's also no weapons, armor, or equipment. Level 1, so there's no too much. We fly up there and get the thing, and your quest is over now. Right?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right,
Yeah.
and
That's why when I play like superhero games, I'm like, okay, I need to prove your powers.
yeah.
No time travels. I have to warn myself that I'm an idiot. he did not get his. He did not.
Like you're gonna die in the future. We're all gonna die in the future, idiot. Oh,
You'd be a good trial lawyer.
Of the law school where I was at, kept bugging me. He's like,
I didn't know that.
it's history, anthropology. Come over to go do. I don't want to have to. He's like, oh, that's why we have paralegals that we don't want to live that life.
But you could have been good.
I probably could have been. I love semantics. I'm the guy like, okay, you're in a room with a hole, and they're like, what? That's not how
It
that works.
spelled a little different. Degree doesn't rhyme up with your English degree. Which is like,
Series of 5 is done. Is there a plan to do another series?
it's about what adventure should be in book 2. You gotta do this. Do like a 7 Samurai one. That'd be. Dude, I haven't written module 1 yet.
why don't you give them some teasers, and I'm going to run them through the first series.
Off with nothing, and I love that.
Yeah, and that's a fun. So that was daunting for the players and for the DM to be like, okay, here's a few things. Here's some prompts you can give the party if they're stuck. Here's the go down the stairs. They're gonna end up at this 10.
I love to read through modules and get ideas, but it's when it comes to getting them to the middle, and then I've got the ears to get to that point.
And there are things that the players will never see, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, like there's 5 modules, and each one has kind of like an NPC in it, and this is like a greatest hits. Gonna go meet Brapple. He's a frog dude. He looks like a tree frog. Yes. So he's got a little wand of cure light wounds that he cures. It's a tonal language. Nobody can
Brapple?
speak it. Brapple.
Mel Brooks is my hero. It looks like
I saw they were doing it.
in the spirit
too
of
bad.
Mel Brooks.
Improv, people, improv amateur Mel Brooks night.
Yeah.
I invented drunk history. Did I tell you that last time?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I invented drunk history. Badass described it to me was that like I had a chance of being the last. I don't know if that's talking to this production company. This isn't going to work for us. And then they never had me on the show. Julie, I can
Business partner.
I can promise you on this freaking show.
Can I be on it too? Because I like that stuff. I like drinking and I love history.
You ever watch it? Like, dude, I could drink all those guys under the table. They're all just like barfing after like a drink and a half.
I know, they're all pussies.
Version.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll talk about
And we'll
eating
just-
them
we'll
off
just-
right.
It'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
UG could act it
I'm
up.
yeah. Saddam's palace called the Blue Dome. People that
It's a YouTube video.
I got my love of history through my father, who he was born during the war, and go to like yard sales, and he was buying all kinds of uniforms and stuff off of
cool.
guys, soldiers. And then when he went to basic in late 1960s,
Oh God.
so he had Lugers he had bought off guys. He had
Madonna.
yeah, just complete like he had a Soviet uniform. All went different areas, and in the Marines, so
Pistol. Yeah.
that they did very.
They did have talk to Japanese people because they will figure it.
Like towards the end, like
Calibers
this is for the other one.
Well, we've got a Type 1 gun, but we got a Type 2 nothing.
Did we drill that into the ground yet?
Okay. Well, this has been a whole lot.
It works up to like a lich battle. So like it works up into. So actually, it's kind of fun because on the first one, you're captured by these gnolls, and they're society, so I have the gnolls I decided or whatever.
Did you figure out that fighting the gnolls while you're
towards this big battle at the end, but you get before you can fight level and you can handle it, and it's not.
like, aha!
I mean, it takes all of you together. Hopefully, it's a hard boss fight, but also like.
So like once you
7 or 8, and the Lich is like way beyond that, but I don't want to having to scale it back a little bit. Instead of the me Lich, cue you into being able to defeat this thing, the Lich King, and so you will have.
The cool thing with the module is like you can scale well.
Yeah,
I think you can go much further if you're following modules.
Yeah, we're gonna end. I mean, this ends at 7 or 8 because it takes 15 minutes because nobody knows what they can do. Everybody's getting bored because they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take my 8 attack."
Play. We on the channel we've been playing on what you roll to see. Like that's like and negative things can happen, but it can also get like
that like exploding sixes deal. Right?
It gets super bonkers.
Not only did they kill all the monsters,
Addies come in. It's like, okay, this is probably gonna wipe out the crew. You guys almost died to freaking.
We don't want these.
Thank you, Ben. I'm glad you said it first.
We don't want these to be character. These aren't character assassinators. So the idea, this isn't Tomb of Horrors. Yeah,
which is
I like being able to cast higher level,
nice.
like get a spell, and you can use a higher level spell to amplify it. Like I like that. But what we are hoping for that everybody gets together. There's a the moment that I love as the DM when you're like, all right, well, what are you doing? And everybody's like, should we do like that, right? Just looking around. Everybody's if it's just like, yeah. Congratulations, buddy. Yeah. Module will just be 5 gnolls just like beating a dead body.
Put those dice in the dice shredder. Yeah, get some new ones.
It's a it's a dice.
Pieces came out. That's your roll.
You just throw it in on your way out there.
You're just disintegrating. So, what have you been doing to your poor toilet? Here's a chunk of plastic. And there you go. That's at every table. You got the backside of the napkin.
Not flushing dice.
See, and then you make money, but you sell more dice. And what's even crazy is you sell dice.
Think about it.
I got caught by a player at the GM screen. I'd show a D20 with a 1 on it. It's like, oh man, I totally flubbed that. And they were like, yeah. And this guy afterwards, he's like, did you just have a D20 on a 1? If the dice roll didn't matter, he goes, but if...
Would just like his go-to move was I got to roll. Then he'd cover it and be like, I guess that's...
Freeling would roll, and he would, as you had to roll a 23 on your die to get that.
We have the bard, and he's the traditional bard. Try to break the game. The idea when I was playtesting this was like we were gonna taking that too hard, and they were trying to break the game. And my friend was the bard. To her.
A neck tattoo.
He's got a neck tattoo. You're working, and I'm writing it off on my taxes. And roll it, and bard rolls 25. He totally crushed it. He totally blocked.
People just play bard as I had a name for murdering bards. I'm making a bard. I'm like, really? Like, you know you're 3-5. And look at everybody's characters, and I look at his. So he has, for his performance as bard, mime. Down what he had to mime for every one of his spells.
That's amazing.
Because I only don't talk when I perform. And you're like, yeah, when we probably need you to talk is when you're casting spells. Let us know what the F you're doing. And he wouldn't. And he says, okay, I'm gonna. And he looked like Marcel from Silent Movie. Mel Brooks movie. Marcel has one line. And it's one.
He was a Roman senator.
I want to see less.
He was a Roman senator. So he was like kind of and carried a golden sword. Because it cost, which cost 3 times the amount, and it was worse. Right in his robes and his senatorial outfit and his bard performance was inspiration.
You know what would have been
you fight harder. You fight for.
Oh, that would be cool.
So he pulls out. If he ever pulls out his sword is a wooden sword. I want to play that character. That character would be a lot of fun.
He was like low dex, low strength.
And just roll 3d6 straight down and then build a character based off that. Yeah. And I ended up with
a beagle!
We figured that Mother Nature just loved my character so much that she cast spells to protect him. That he wasn't really a sorcerer. He just would point at things, lightning bolts.
I don't know. When you're cool, just good things happen to you. You know?
I was one that. That's why I loved. What was the? I know a sorcerer who then becomes somehow the leader, self-centered. So he's negotiates. Okay, my party will do this for 10 grand. Like, how do you always? And then the players are like, why?
That's a thing that like doesn't come up that much because whenever people like, it's so fun to have negative modifiers to it.
Love having
at least one ability score. You got it right.
I love
Of
having
course,
yeah.
because that gives you some kind of hook too.
Yeah.
That's why, like Deadlands. Love Deadlands because you have
a lot.
Deadlands and Palladium books.
Yep.
It has changed a little bit. Like you buy the Ultimate Edition, the rules are a lot cleaner than the 1989 edition. But you can grab any of those original game, put it in free Quebec, and you can't pull free Quebec stuff and put it in Russia. Like they don't mix. They really don't. Like they're designed as little sub-worlds using tons of different Palladium stuff. We started out in DC is like 100 SDC.
Is it
Rail guns and like your mech armor and vehicle to you can take a blaster and hit a starship. It's really easy to hit, but it's really hard to damage.
Yeah.
Which I loved how Star Wars did that. So, but with Palladium DC is like 100 SDC. So a railgun shot is like 20 MDC. That's 2,000 hit points, and a normal human has like 25.
Right. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
So they don't mix well.
So he's gone.
Yeah,
You're not walking
exactly.
away.
So it's not
He's not walking away from this one.
yeah. There's that campaign, and I kept it very localized. So they catch up to the bad guy, and he sucks them into fantasy Palladium. So whatever guns and armor they have is what they have. So they were like, why are we keeping track of bullets? On us, the ammo we have on us. So a couple of them developed magic. They develop superpowers. Some of them still have magic, but they get
That's fun.
But they have superpowers and magic. And then all of a sudden, when they mutated, they can take higher amounts of damage.
The Lich thing, right? Because Demi Lich is a challenge 18.
Yeah.
But like one of those. Oh, what if you know this and you can create some kind of blocker against sonic damage?
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But at the end of like, oh, we were 7th level and we beat a Demi Lich.
Yeah. Not enough people use liches. I think
Liches are awesome.
Yeah.
Liches are awesome because they have a 18, 19 intelligence. A lich is like a dude.
Not Demi Lovato.
Yeah. So
Levi's Demi G.
Demi Lexic.
yeah. So a lich did some weird things. He's either like so old that he's gone crazy, or in the case of our Demi Lich, he can't find his phylactery. So he can't feed souls into his phylactery, so his body decayed. Older, because he's kind of gone,
Access
lost his body due to like, he can't recharge his
D20 minimum appearance table.
So we don't, 2 to 6 to 7 in this module. If you don't, I think you will, like we're going to try to make it so you do, but if you don't, then like, when you start the next one, it's like,
Do the, between
yeah.
Tougher and grittier.
Yeah, and then I love doing that because I like asking the party to now have this new skill and ability and power, right? Like,
Which I think is more fun for character development, and it's more fun for the dungeon master too, because then you're getting character feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
I always love to I hate just you level up onto a skill. You have to do something in game to
get
it. So that's why I love in Star Wars is you're traveling. So that hey, you have 3 days to get from here to here. What I can about the.
I'm going to read this
planet.
book, or I'm going to
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they.
Yeah.
So when they get there, if somebody's actually been researching where they're going, they have. You get an extra pip in your lock picking skill.
Yeah.
And time that happens with characters, it happens.
Downtime could be fun.
Yeah.
If you get creative about it.
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't have it in video games as much anymore, right? You
Yeah.
you kill this monster, and then boom, you're level whatever, and you got the new powers and abilities, and we've kind of gotten used to that. But adventuring is a lot of downtime, right? Like,
absolutely.
If you're a D&D
Now,
guy,
there's
like,
that's
game.
one of the greatest video games
Yeah.
ever created.
Yeah, there's a reason why. I mean, it's like Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, that game came out live on Twitch right now. Make people realize because we, movies we don't develop characters. So the storytellers have to get back to. Is a lot of people loved Rogue One. We play role-playing games. We have to get better at creating those characters.
I agree.
You want your players to. But you also, don't want them so connected that they burst into tears at the table either. All yet.
Yeah.
But as storytellers,
Storytelling game that people.
world are in the not directly butt up to each other. And I weren't partying together. My character went off and did X, Y, and Z, and then they spend a little time talking about how their character has developed and has to be this.
So you're going to see a whole bunch of it, actually. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited.
You will fulfill, Dave. Yeah.
I can't wait to get these in hand. Art off of this one. Once
Hoping and thinking for it too.
because it is a unique way of in the game.
We've done that.
Yeah. And I like that. That's the or somebody actually. I find it really super fun that he gives stuff now.
That's fun. And he went through that chair.
So the links to their Kickstarter will be down below. Future with Drive-Thru RPG links.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe take a look at it because you do look at all. I have to confess, I already wrote you into the credits as a thank you for looking through this because I didn't want to forget. So
Yes, Ben told me about this the other day.
I will delete it if you really don't.
You signed in without signing in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely.
mentioned-
Just like, okay, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Book convention.
Because we had launched it like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then you were like, okay.
And you came on the last day too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I go places like I will try the very first day to like, okay, I have to go do this. I go because it's stacked.
Yeah. It's like Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
In the movie where he
You
played
have to put stuff on that
Angel
wall.
Heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the end of Angel Heart.
Yeah. And then the last day, hey, I gotta go. I had a whole bunch of meetings, and it was funny because I into him last day. Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I need to talk to you.
That makes sense because I saw.
That's the greatest thing about conventions,
Yeah.
right?
I've met so many people go down to the show floor. He gives me the email to email, and he goes just like out of a movie when you know to your like moments. Just
That's great.
Seconds
amazing.
before he comes around the corner, I was like, I still haven't figured out how to talk to him yet, and he just walks right up. I was like,
Matthew Lillard on it. It was a black T-shirt that had the words Matthew Lillard in white on it.
3 of the 4 days, doing signings and everything
Okay, I'm gonna.
Did you see
I
the
refuse
first,
to watch them.
Did you see the first screen?
Dude, he's like a.
Okay, I might know who he is.
You've probably seen him in a bunch of things. He does all kinds of stuff. He's kind of like a comic reliefy. I'll while you're doing that, I'll tell there. And I was in the back, and I'm Zoller.
Okay, is it
Yeah, I think
different?
this was the first time I did it. I went down there, and I was doing some stuff for Badass. And I was in the back area, and there was a vending machine, and I wanted to get a soda out of it. I got Dr. Pepper, and like it got stuck in the machine. Here, like, and I'm just thinking, like, wow, you were very formative to me when I was a child, when I was young. Like, I really like you, and
Okay, I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
goes.
The
opposite of
Exact
Scooby-Doo.
opposite.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing of Scooby.
But all the actors, like Freddie Prinze was a perfect Fred. Just everyone they picked nailed their parts. And
They did. That's why they put it. That's why they did it.
yeah,
Okay, that was after sequel. Yeah.
Well, I'll finish my Elvira story, which is that I'm laying on the ground. I'm looking up at Elvira, who was very formative to me as an adolescent, and I'm holding this Dr. Pepper with my arm still in this vending machine. It's like frozen. And then she says to me, like in the Cassandra Peterson voice, not in the Elvira voice, like in her real speaking voice, she's like, "Well," and I'm like, "Oh shit, sorry, I'm sorry, I embarrassed myself in front of you."
you should have said, "Would you like one?" While I'm in here,
It was.
I saw the inspiration for Boomerang more meeting.
Yeah.
It is so funny to see the people at conventions that they're excited to get these signatures. They're excited to having met them, and
Of course, because she's
2013, and I had to go into the military that morning, so I had to throw on my army uniform, go do some stuff, and then changed in, threw on like the show's the big grinder, and everybody in the shirts are
little green
monkeys.
shirt, yeah.
yeah, I know.
Those people who are like, if you need anything, you come find me, and then they're never around.
I'm late getting to my scheduled time to meet her.
Yeah.
And I'm apparently the last person she's going to see of the day.
Oh God.
And so I get there, and they say, you are a volunteer. And she goes, my wife afterwards is like, how come you never stop?
Yeah, I'm a little jealous here, honey.
It's the only reason actually, there's multiple reasons I love that.
I hope
is what it is today. Her thing he'd started through LucasArts, to LucasArts, and sold to Steve Jobs because of Howard the Duck.
Damn.
So next time we get together, everybody, we're going to talk about Howard the Duck stories because I have
Really?
my buddy Val.
Oh, in the comics, I was like, 'cause I think Robert E. Howard was dead when Howard the Duck was invented.
Yeah, it was in the comics, in the Marvel comics in the 80s.
So my buddy Val.
Val is talking to him about doing art for this.
I know. And
Don't do that impression if it's going to make.
you're going to do some art. I just have to get an assignment to you, and we'll get you going on it.
But
People, how bad people say that movie.
I'm going to keep us on message here, and I'm going to say that there are still large illustrations available on the Kickstarter for our project, and one of them might be specific pieces because we don't know what they all are.
Because it's just
They're not done yet, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're not a real librarian. I just LARP as one. We've had a lot of fun today, and the links will be down below how to check out their Kickstarter. I know that later, and